Hi there, and welcome back to the Community Strategy Podcast. My name is Deb Shell. I'm a creator turned community builder. After launching my online community in 2020, I have a passion for online events and bringing people together. I now consult business owners and leaders just like yourself who have a message, their life's work, or a vision for helping others transform through their online courses, cohorts, or memberships. On this interview style podcast, you'll hear conversations with community leaders, passion for bringing people together online. Our goal is to provide you with interesting conversations to inspire you to build, launch, and grow an online community with energy, confidence, and purpose. Let's get started. Hi there, and welcome back to the Community Strategy Podcast. I'm Deb Shell, the host here, and we talk all things intentional community strategy. Today, I've got Benji. He's the founder of Disciple Media. Welcome, Benji, to the Community Strategy Podcast.
It's great to be here, Deb. Thanks very much for inviting me.
I am so excited to dig in to talk about all the things community, and let's start with your entrance in, which we talked a little bit just before we hopped on here, of what got you into wanting to build community online.
Sure. So my passion throughout my life has been music. I started becoming obsessed with it when I was a teenager, and I'm actually behind me in this blurred background is my little home studio. And it's what I did from like my teenage years until starting Disciple, whenever that was 5-6 years ago. So I did it professionally. I produced records. I made records myself. I toured the world. I set up a record label. And for me, the cornerstone of an artist's life is producing great music, the love of music, and then the community you build up around people who respond and get something out of what you're doing. And so often what happens with an artist, I saw this with my own music and some of the artists we released on the record label, was that those fans they come together. The kind of catalyst that brings them together is the artist and the music, but kind of every time they then figure out there's a load of other stuff that they share in common with each other. So music is like the attractor, but once they get together, they realize they've got the same tastes in like some TV, where they like to travel in the world, what festivals, what they want to go to, their cultural and political views. And there becomes this great opportunity to build something way more kind of connective and important to that fan base than just the music. Sorry, that's my phone. And I felt this. I'd seen some of the bands. One of my favorite bands ever is an American band. Let me just put that on sleep. Called the Grateful Dead, and they're like the ultimate and the prototype, and nobody will ever be better than them at combining music with community. You know, they were the first ones to give all of their music away for free, because they were like, hey, we'll figure out how to make some money later, but just take the music, record the shows, do whatever you like, guys. You're our fans. We love you. We just want you to have a good time. And like 60 years later, that community is bigger and thriving and more important and more of a way of life than it's ever been, which is just phenomenal. And I used to look at that thinking, man, that's the kind of that's the kind of relationship I want to have with my fans. I want the artists on my label to have with their fans. So that's what I wanted to build. And I kind of initially, when Facebook appeared in like whenever it was 2006, I thought, okay, here it is. Here's a way we can really find out who our fans are, connect together with them, and build some kind of connective tissue between everyone so that we can really help fans have an amazing life together, more than just listening to our music. And Facebook was kind of like that, I guess, until about 2011, 2012. And then I started thinking, hey, just doesn't work anymore. This is more like just a kind of load of noise. I don't know who the fans are. They find it really hard to connect with each other properly. So I started thinking, how can I take some of the learnings from the social media experience, really in terms of platform and product, and create something where artists can create really cool private social networks for their fans to come together and build really strong communities. And that was how Disciple originally started. I did the original beta product for my own band. The fans loved it. It was great. We charged a subscription to be a member of the fan club, and you got all your music first. You could have groups around things like where you want to go, like festivals you want to go to, sharing rides to festivals, this kind of stuff. Worked really well. Fans paid like, I think it was $4 a month. They could give us feedback on merch. They could create their own merch and share it on the merch wall. And if we liked something, we'd turn that into merchandise. It was really cool. And that was the prototype. I then started Disciple. And originally Disciple was all around music. We started working with some huge bands, like some cult bands, like death metal band, like Suicide Silence. We then started doing some huge bands. We did the Rolling Stones. We did Luke Bryan over there in the US, who we still work with. And it was kind of through that slow experience of figuring out what is the community in relationship to music, started transforming into something else. And we started getting people coming from different spaces. I didn't even really, creator economy as an idea really hadn't come together yet properly, or it was much more just about YouTubers talking about games at that point. We started getting people working in the world of fitness, nutrition, people around social organizations coming to us saying, we really respond to what you're talking about, music, we'd love your product for our community. And at the time I was like, well, it's got like a music player in, how are we going to do this? So in 2018, we took the decision, like, there's something really cool going on here. There are now, it turns out, millions of communities around the world who are really looking to find an independent space that can really reflect their values, the particular culture of their community. So let's create a platform that's kind of like a Swiss Army penknife, where you can come in, build the platform, make sure it works on mobile like all the billion-dollar social networks do. And that's how Disciple started. So its roots are in music, but today it's serving communities of so many different shapes and sizes around the world.
I love so many elements of your story, and it's just so interesting if you really break down to like, what does it mean to be in a community, and what does that community strategy when you're launching look like, or developing this idea, and you really aligned it. And I've been in this what's called the creator economy basically since inception, because I'm an original creator and really interested in how do we and love music. In fact, I had actually at one point considered being a music producer. I don't think the word is producer, but it's like publisher, not publisher. What's the word I'm looking for? Promoter, music promoter.
Concert promoter.
Yeah, I'm a promoter. So I would go to like local restaurants in the area, and I started to like build this whole system of this ecosystem in my local community in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, of all the local musicians. And I started blogging about their story, their backstories. This is like in, I want to say 2010, 2010, between probably 2010 and 2014, I was really working on these different ideas of how to build an online business and what does that look like, and blogging and stuff. But my focus was really about music, and I went to all the local musicians' gigs, and I was the first person there and the last person to leave, and was really, really passionate about music. And I was sitting at a bar stool with one of my friends during an open mic night a week before the pandemic, like thinking, this is awesome. Like, I just can't believe I get to hang out with cool musicians all the time, because I had just quit my corporate job to like become location independent, and all these things happened in 2020. And then I was like, oh, sad story for like all the things.
I'm kind of pleased that the pandemic didn't make everyone think, actually, no, you can just do like concerts online. Concerts everything about music is community. It really
remember
is.
Remember how that was a thing
together.
That was like a hot thing for a minute. Like there was so really a lot of online promotion.
Startup I want to do about doing online concerts, and I was like,
no,
it doesn't make sense. Concerts are about people in a room doing stuff together. It's a communal thing.
So I love that your roots you're really based in and rooted in this passion that you have around music, and how it can bring so much joy and excitement and pleasure to your life, like just the way we cope.
Yes, it's a perennial puzzle, and one I get so much pleasure trying to solve. Is how to create the best. I mean, I'm passionate about so many different bands. creating that ultimate way for people who are really passionate about something to come together and share that passion and make it a really deep and important part of their lives. I just think is what us humans need.
And I think as musicians, they, it's hard, especially during the pandemic, they lost their audience. They didn't know where their audience was because
Yeah.
like one of my friends does local gigs and he has a calendar. They do books. He's like a year in advance booked at like all of these different venues. And then when that all stopped, he's like, okay, well, where are my people even
Oh, it was
at?
super tough. It was hard. I had a lot of friends from my music life who just, they'd spent the last 20 years on the road and there was something like, shit, I'm at home. What am I going to do? Forgetting about the financial side, it was just, they were like, they hadn't been in their house for more than 2 weeks at a time for like 20 years.
Yeah. It's just so interesting, but I love how you transitioned. So you started with musicians, but then realized that broader audiences, such as other creator fields and other people who are building audiences, and they really want to be actually building communities instead of an audience. I think what
Absolutely.
I picked up on there was a shift between what it means to build an audience and what it means to build a community, and that they're not the same thing.
They are 100% not the same thing, and that's absolutely like what it's all about. And that was the realization that made me start on this journey. Was going into the music world, I thought the value of what I did as an artist was like the copyright I created, the pieces of music, and everything kept getting disrupted with the rise of streaming, etc. And then I realized, actually, no, it's not. The value in what we do as artists is the communities we create. And the importance that has in fans' lives, and any way we can serve that, the better. And that made me start focusing on music and community. And then when I started seeing these or speaking to these other community hosts coming to Disciple when we were starting, I realized it's exactly the same thing as music. They have people who are really passionate about the thing that host does, that knowledge, that expertise, that art, that experience they have, and they want to come together and they want access to that host and their expertise, but equally or more importantly, they want access to other people who share that passion point. And that's relevant to like almost anything in life, because humans are able to become passionate about weird and wonderful things, not just music and art.
I love that. It's so interesting that, I don't know. I grew up in the US, so that's the perspective I have. But like, there's boxes that people try to put you in, that people try to put me in all my life about, this or that. And what I've really learned is that I'm a generalist, which in the community world is like the best thing. And also in a journalism world, it's the best thing, because that means you're super flexible to being able to modify what your skills are, and you learn on the go. And I never was able to express that on resumes and stuff. But what you're talking about is really just this idea that we can have more than one thing in our life. Like, we don't only just have to do a job and maybe we have a side one hobby. We might have multiple things that we're interested in, but maybe our in real life space community people who are in our life don't necessarily have those same values or interests or whatever. And so now we've got this is how I came into the community industry, of like, the life that I wanted wasn't being represented in my physical space, and I had to go find that online. And I built a community with that in mind, of I want to be around people who are doing living the life the kind of life that I want to live.
Absolutely. And that's one of the big things I often kind of argued myself about this, about online communities versus real world communities, and the kind of conflict between the two. And the thing that always makes me realize there is no conflict, and we should stop arguing about whether, should we all be meeting in person or should we be online? There's a certain community you can have in your real world that's physical and in your geographical area. But there's a lot of things that people are into that a kind of niche, and they're not going to find that niche locally. They're not going to find that niche an hour drive away. And they need that global reach. They need a global community so they can find those few hundred, few thousand people who have that shared passion point, because humans are pretty unique, and finding people who really share that, you need to get online and you need to go global with it. And again, going back to music, you know, I have music fans from places like Iran. They could never go to a show. They're not allowed to go to shows. We would never be allowed to go to Iran and play a show there. But they connect through our community online, and it's so important to them. We're like, online community is literally a lifeline to a culture and way of life that they're not allowed to follow in the real world.
Oh, so true. And we've never realized it more than in the last few years. But now
Totally.
I love the way you're talking about, like, okay, now that we're not like in the box of like, hopefully everybody is in the mindset of post-pandemic at this point.
Yeah.
But we're kind of in the facing of, okay, now what's the next? And I think that there's been a lot of transition, like you mentioned a little bit about, like, you had a really niche product with just marketing to a specific audience being musicians, and now you're expanding. What are the other areas that you feel like Disciple really serves? And then we can talk maybe about like details on some features and functionality kind of things.
Sure. So there's kind of the two main, there's one area of our communities which is we call them coaches and mentors. They are people with an expertise who've typically built up an audience on Instagram or Facebook or Discord, who connect with them because they want access to that knowledge. And then at some point that host thinks, wow, I've got a business here, potential business here, because I've got this knowledge and there seems to be a lot of people interested in what I do. But I'm really frustrated by the fact that I have to fit my way, my culture, my values, my business model into the kind of pre-packed box that's provided by, say, Facebook. So they come to Disciple saying, look, I want to build a community business. We tell them, this, what you want to be building is a community-led business. Community is at the heart of what you do, and you've got huge potential. Through us, we can provide you with a platform which is yours. Your data is yours. How the branding, the colors, the values, the rules, how you configure it is all yours. We're just here to serve you on a technological level and hopefully give you some guides and tips on how to build a community-led business. But we're all about saying to our hosts, you come to us and create an independent business. And that really resonates in the world of online coaching and mentoring, whether that's somebody coaching at a B2B level, coaching you to be a better online marketer or a better sales rep, or whether it's a consumer level on how to be fitter, how to, we've got a great community around how to build model railways. And so it's all of those passion points where there is an expert, and we call those mentor or coach-based businesses. We then have this other side, which we call flat communities, where there is no specific figurehead or host to the community. There's an instigator who's created the community, but really it's a network. A great example that would be, we work with a network of lawyers in the US who kind of keep Congress to account on legal matters. And there is no figurehead there. It's just a way for them to come together and talk and about legal matters going on in the US in a way, in their own space, protected space. So those are the two fundamental kind of communities we talk to: flat communities and figurehead or mentor-based communities. And within those two buckets, I mean, there's just everything from human rights groups on the flat communities, wellness communities around every different area of health and fitness, nutrition-based communities. We serve a lot of communities around healthcare. So mothers coming together, they might have a child with something like diabetes, and they want to come together and talk with other mums. They get access to information from healthcare providers, but the main thing that's bringing them together is they want to, in their local area, they might not know a lot of mums whose kids have got severe diabetes, and they need that place where they can go and just have a chat with another mum and figure out how they can better look after their kid, but also just share some of the pain and difficulty it is bringing up a kid with a severe ailment.
Yeah, because there's so many great things there. They're finding people who can relate to their
Yeah,
specific challenge. They're also getting, maybe some solutions around it or ways to
absolutely.
work through and move through it, you know. And then they're also getting to be heard because maybe they just don't have friends or family or people in their life that they can really feel confident or feel safe with, that they could talk with some of
Absolutely.
these
That's what
things
so
about.
many communities seem to be come down to, is
Mhm.
having that place where you feel safe. You know you're with people who share your some of your life experience and some of your beliefs.
Yeah, and on social media,
That's tough.
we're seeing some really big shifts right now.
Yeah, yeah,
As
yeah.
we're recording this, it's the middle of November, and Elon Musk buying Twitter, like all the things that happened with Twitter recently and Facebook. What do you think that that's going to mean for community platforms like yours in the next year?
Um, I mean, this story of social media going from the potential kind of connector of humanity to the disconnector and the conflict creator has really been going on since, I don't know, 2014, 2015 now. And I just see it escalating.
Yeah.
Um, it's you can't put the whole of humanity into one room and expect them to get on. It
Really?
just doesn't work like that. We're not like that.
Hmm.
We're
You mean
too
humans
varied.
are
The
like
good news
really
is we're
challenged?
hugely the good news is us humans are hugely varied. We've got a ton of points of view. But we don't necessarily want to be in a room together all the time because we'll end up butting heads with each other, and they become places of toxicity. And generally, the algorithms behind them are wanting one thing: they're wanting engagement to sell advertising.
Mhm.
And you, as the user, are not the customer. You're the product. The intentions, any product or service whose intention is to simply engage you to sell that engagement to somebody else, is never going to lead to a good outcome, in my belief, because the actual fundamental alignment is totally out of whack and you're being used. And that anger, that vitriol, that argument is used because it sells advertising.
Mhm.
um, and this has just been going, the Elon Musk saga at Twitter is just the latest. We've had it in England. We had the business with Cambridge Analytica, whenever that was, 4 or 5 years ago, when whole elections were being swayed in the UK by basically Facebook giving data to companies to then farm and sell to politicians.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think it needs to. It's always going to be there, and it serves, some of it serves a great purpose, and but I think it's not the turnkey solution everyone thought for any form of online connectivity, communication, and community. It's not that.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the Elon Musk saga at Twitter is just one more step in communities dispersing and going back to a place where there's centralized communities, but there's way more variety, way more color in the community landscape than there was maybe 7, 8 years ago.
Oh, yes. If I could say like yes and to that, and as in my improv background of saying yes and yeah, because honestly, I noticed recently the Facebook groups that I'm in, like how many I can't even tell you, and they are now doing this at everyone thing. And
Yeah, what's that mean?
I've been saying for a while, like if you want to talk to everyone, that's what Facebook is. So we already have that.
Exactly.
It exists. It's called Facebook.
Yeah,
It's where everyone is. But do you want to be where everyone is?
yeah. I mean, when hosts that we work with, the Disciple, ask me or ask one of our team about social media, sometimes they come to say, I just want to get off Facebook and shut it all down and put my whole community in with you guys. And I generally push back a little bit and say, look, build your community with us. We'll create a great platform with you. will give you the learnings and the service you need to give you every chance of creating an amazing community-led business. But you still need somewhere to get the message out. And as a marketing platform, there's never been a better tool. You know, if there was no Facebook, there was no Twitter, there was no LinkedIn, getting the word out about your community and getting your community off the ground would be really hard.
Yeah.
You just got to use it. Don't let Facebook use you, or don't let social media use you. Use it like companies use it as a marketing platform to bring people to your own place where you can build your own independent business, where your members are your IP. They are your asset of your business, and not Facebook or Twitter's.
Yeah. Yeah. Such powerful points. Such powerful points of like, don't let the software use you. Use it to your advantage,
Yeah,
but don't let it use you. It's a great term. Do you feel like Disciple is going, so what's next for Disciple? Where are you looking at? I know there's some changes happening with the collective. And so I was curious on if like what you'd be able to share about the future of Disciple Media.
Yeah, so we've created a platform for building communities on that we're super proud of. Got thousands of communities on there that are doing amazing stuff, and millions of members in those communities doing amazing stuff every day. We're super proud of it. We're super proud of the businesses we support. It gets all of us up in the morning to work in an excited mood. But we really want to start thinking now, kind of, how can we expand this out and help them with some of the other things a community-led business does. So we're going to always be doubling down and improving the community platform. But how can we start helping them communicate with the outside world, with the Facebooks, with Twitter, with LinkedIn, to help them do their marketing? So we think of our product in terms of grow, engage, and convert. We've really worked on the engage bit so far. That's the community. The convert piece is how you convert that community in whatever value or outcome you're looking for, whether that's financial or data or analytics. We're really starting to focus on the grow piece. How can you grow that? How can we help you run amazing marketing campaigns into social media to bring your members across? How can we help you identify key advocates within your community? You can go out and evangelize about what you're doing, so that Disciple really becomes a full stack business platform to run a complete community-led business on, including we're just doing some initial pilots of building a resource for community managers to hire other community managers and marketing resources. So a kind of LinkedIn for all you might need to help you run your community-led business. So that's hiring other team members, etc. So we really want Disciple to become that one place that you can build your business on.
That's amazing. And it's it's a really great insight, just in the aspect of, it takes time to build a community. It takes a lot of work and it takes time. So, you know, if people come to me and say, hey, Deb, like, can we get a community up in 2 weeks? I'm like, well, technically you might be able to do that, but humans are humans. We can't control them. Like I can set up time and I can, you know, create this system or place. You know, we can build it out, but then it's up to humans to come in and we can't make them come. And I'm going to be speaking about this at the end of the month. I'm actually Valentina just posted up on LinkedIn about the conversation we're going to have at the end of November here about onboarding.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. But talking about teams of like support, you just brought up a key point.
That's the hardest thing. That's going, you know, now we've been, when did we launch our product? We launched it beginning of 2019. Yeah. It's clear that the biggest pain point, there's a bunch of pain points anyone has who's trying to build a community-led business, and there are millions of them out there. The potential to build really strong businesses that not only generate a really great income for them, but make people's lives better, because who's going to be in a community under duress? They do it because they love it. Obviously the community platform is the first pain point, because kind of before we came along and others like Mighty Networks, felt like there was just social media. But what's become really clear is the biggest pain point to solve at this point for the community hosts we already work with is giving them access to people who can help them on the journey. And whether it's I need somebody for 3 hours a week to help me with marketing and marketing collateral, or I need somebody for an hour a day just to help with community management, giving them access to a pool of people who can support them, we think is going to be a game changer for the industry.
Yeah, I think so too. Talent networks and just bringing all of these amazing human beings into a space and building community with other people is so fun. It's a lot more fun than building a community alone. And then like spending a lot of time and hours building out a course or a cohort or a program, developing all the systems, doing all the tech work, but then, writing up the copy. There's a lot that goes into it. And then, it can, and this is why I'm writing a book called Creator to Community Builder. It's about, it does take work, but it's worth it if you want this outcome of
absolutely
creating this amazing space for these people to thrive.
And it snowballs. There's we notice this with every community we work with, that the beginning is by far the hardest. You've got to, you're pushing the boulder up the hill. The community has come, and they have an audience relationship with you as the creator. They're all sitting back, they're waiting for you to do everything. And if you don't do everything, they're going to walk away. Yeah. As the community evolves, and as you plan and you really think your strategy, you create the right content, you create the right connections between the members, eventually you'll start feeling this like tailwind, where the community is starting to do the work for you. The community is starting to generate engagement, and you start seeing this shift where on day one to say 6 months in, 90% of the engagement is on the host content. 3 years later, 10% is the host content, and 90% is the community making their own content and engaging with each other. And you're just there to facilitate and kind of move it in the right direction that suits your business. But it takes time, and that's one of the things is we find at Disciples really letting community managers or hosts of community-led businesses understand this is not a sprint, and if you sprint, it will most likely fail. It is definitely a marathon. You've got to keep your stamina up. We saw it when we started working with bands right back at the beginning. Bands have a mentality that's built around releasing an album. So their marketing is like big bang, ta-da, here's the record. Everyone go out and buy the record. And they would launch their community in the same way. So we take something like the Rolling Stones. They go bang, big announcements all over the place. The Rolling Stones community is live. We got like 150,000 people join on day one. But there's no community there.
Did they come back?
They all just go in. So they luckily they did, but it takes time. They would be like, after day one, they were just waiting for content from the band. Now, whatever, 5 years later, the band doesn't have to do anything. It's just thousands of Stones fans connecting with content they love about the band. The band's team does nothing. So that's if any community host who's beginning their journey, that would be, to me, the most important advice is it's a marathon, not a sprint. And don't make you think that's something you shouldn't therefore do. It's hugely rewarding. And once you get to the point where you feel the community is behind you and it's pushing your business forward, that's the best.
It is, right? It's exciting. It's exciting when two people meet and build a relationship and maybe do a collaboration or a project. And that whole inception of them meeting was because they came to your community or they use your app or whatever. And it's a magical thing. And that I think that I'm glad to be a part of. And I'm excited for our partnership going forward with me being more involved on the Disciple Media community and really engaging and learning more about how to cultivate this sense of community and space and be able to charge for it, but in a way that is not icky. I think a lot of creators out there, a lot of people are like, oh, but we don't want to charge
That's
this or
a
that.
big hurdle that hosts need to get, that always come. It's a psychological hurdle, but it feels weird because we're used to asking people to pay to consume, not to contribute.
Yeah.
But actually, humans get more out of contributing than consuming, and this world needs a bit more contribution and a bit less consumption. And if it's rewarding and giving value to people, contributing and being part of something that you created, you should be getting rewarded. And I think 10 years time, some of the biggest businesses in the world are going to be community-led businesses. And some of the people starting community-led businesses now are going to have huge businesses in 10 years time.
So true. So true. It's so amazing. I was, and just to let you know, I recently interviewed David Siegel, the CEO of Meetup, last week. And
he's a great guy.
He and I were talking about this concept of community cost and investment. And so what you're talking about is really like, we need to tell the world that, I don't know if you will agree with this, but I'll just say for me, I feel like there's a moment that we're in here of an opportunity with the community industry to say, this is a valuable thing and it is worthy of financial monetary value. Not just, your time is an investment, your attention is an investment, all of those things are investments. But this value of the community, or what's the ROI or the KPIs that are going to, keep the community industry afloat in the next few years. It really is going to depend on how people set the stage, I think, in the next year or two.
So many, if any community host is starting out and is nervous about the concept of charging members to be part of their community, one of my messages to them would be, look, some of the biggest businesses in the world are moving to being community businesses. So you take media businesses, newspaper businesses, they now talk of themselves about being membership community businesses, because they're not just about selling a newspaper that somebody reads, they're about putting information out to their readership and then allowing those readers to come together and discuss that news. That is a community.
With showing their face. I think in the past, you're making me think of something that I was thinking about, was this forum that we used to have with this newspaper I worked with, where people could just say things and like hide behind this like robot face of, black circle with no face on it. And I think there's a decision, like there's a divergence that we're shifting towards of, we want to know who you are, because we want to know that there's a real person behind that voice.
Yeah. I really hope that and I'd love it if we had the bandwidth at Disciple to try and solve this particular puzzle, but I'd love to think that in 5 to 10 years time, the concept of your online identity has been solved. So therefore, if you're in a community and somebody isn't who they are, you'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you pretending to be somebody you're not? What's your name? Who are you? And so online life is like real life. If you meet somebody in real life and they're pretending to be somebody they're not, you'd be totally finding it really weird. But online, somehow we think it's normal. And I think for the one of the big unlocks for global community and community-led business is the concept of a coherent online identity, which has not been solved yet.
Yeah. So many things we could dive into, but our time is running short here. So I'll just say thank you again so much for sharing all of this insights and for sharing a little bit more about, the foundation and how it got started, and now what's exciting about into 2023 in the future. Is there anything I didn't ask that you wanted to share with the listeners today?
No, other than that, if you're interested in building a community-led business, or you're looking to take your community-led business to the next step, please check us out, Disciple. Come and check out our community, The Collective. The Collective is not a big sell. It's a place where you can learn about being a community. It is for hosts we work with only, but come over to Disciple and check it out. We're not a big push sell business, but if we got anything that we can any information we can give you to help you take your community-led business to the next stage, we'd love to do that. But come and check us out.
Awesome. And best place for them to do that, where would that be?
disciplemedia.com.
There you go. Wonderful. So great to have you and get to share your story out with others.
Absolute
Thank you
pleasure,
so
David.
much.
And thanks for everything you do for the world of community.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm new to this whole space and I'm loving every minute of it. And I've been working 1,000 miles an hour trying to just dive through and like see what this is all going to pan out and yeah, just being able to like connect with people around the world. I think in the past 2 years, it expands your view so much, and that's what I've really the best feature of community for me is that of an online community for me is that it's not in person because
Yeah,
it connects me to people who I would never meet. I just had a
absolutely.
awesome karaoke call on a Saturday with friends in the UK over the last weekend. And it was the funnest thing ever.
Yeah.
And,
That's great.
there's just so many experiences and perspectives that you get from talking with different people from all over the globe that this technology and these kinds of things helps us do. So I feel like it's just a great time to be in the space that we're in. And I'm super psyched about the
100%.
future. So thank you again for everybody's listening. If you found value with this episode, please share it with one friend. Shoot them a message right now and just share that with them, because I feel like these are the ways that we share different ideas out. Podcasting is one of the many ways that we can share how communities are being built. So thanks for listening and for sharing this. And until the next time, I hope you're finding calm in this day, evening, moment, Monday or Wednesday. Take care until the next time. Find calm. Bye. Hi, this is Deb Shell, and I'm super excited to let you know that I'm writing a book. Yes, it might not be a big deal for you, but it is a big deal for me. As I work through writing the Creator to Community Builder book, I've decided to launch a crowdfunding campaign, and I'm super excited to share with you that this is where I'm asking you for your help. I need to reach $5,000, and at this moment, we've raised about $1,110. So thank you so much for all of the people who have supported this project to this point. I wanted to let you know with updating you today that I'm extending this campaign to the end of the year. So by December 31st, my goal is to raise $5,000 for this book. The estimates are about $10,000 of cost of publishing, printing, a limited, amount of copies, and paying for a designer. So I just started reconnecting with our book designer. He's going to be getting me some proposals next week, and I'm going to start with a new cover design for you, hopefully before the end of the year. So that's my update for today. Thank you for supporting me so far. If you haven't supported this project yet, please go to the show notes and check out the I Fund Woman crowdfunding campaign for the new book, Creator to Community Builder. I'm super excited. Thanks so much for all who've supported.